Hello, it's Pan here. So I'm an only child from England, and as a lot of other crusty children were too, I was dragged along to many youth hostels, driven for hours to many historical sites, and walked miles through fields, mud and rain to look at rocks in the earth. Not to mention budget scouts holidays and awful school trips. At the time, these trips were boring, uninspiring, and I felt like nothing appealed to me. And I was just one child, so it was much easier to just leave me to entertain myself. I'm now 23 years old, and honestly, looking back, I wish I could revisit all of these places. Let's face it, most of those holidays were largely wasted on me, and I probably would have been happier at home playing Mario Galaxy 2 on the Wii or drawing horses or something. And now I absolutely adore castles, stately homes, cottages, Tudor pubs, even prehistoric monuments, and I love sketching them, and my heart just aches sometimes looking back at pictures of these places that I remember nothing about because I was either too young or they just didn't really interest me at the time. Those trips with children my age were a chance to make new friends, not repel people by being anxious and shy and having weird habits like talking to myself. However, I do have some embarrassing and stupid stories from those trips that I feel like epitomise my experiences going on family and school holidays, and I wanted to do a little story time of those events and share them with you guys today. Okay, this wasn't too long ago. I think I was about 15 or 16, I think. And we were going to stay in this quaint little gatehouse with my mum and dad and my mum's friend. As always, my father cannot stand anyone not being in the car at the exact time of departure, while my dad's waiting in the car, shouting into the house for me to hurry up. I'm frantically running around my room trying to grab like last minute stuff just in case I forgot something. As I'm coming down the stairs at full speed, I twist my ankle as I'm coming down the stairs, landing on it quite badly. I get into the car and I'm like a bit like sobbing a little bit because it really hurt. And obviously, like, we're driving off, so there's no time to put like anything cold on it. As the day progresses, my ankle starts to swell and swell, and I basically spent the whole of this trip with a swollen ankle. At least I managed to compose myself enough to get dressed in my Aloy's Transy cosplay and to take some photos, so it's fine, I guess. PGL. The absolute messiest holiday that you can go on. Independence, fun, orienteering activities, sports. Cool! I remember one particular activity that was quite traumatizing for me, and like looking back I just cannot believe that it was that difficult. We had to do this thing called Jacob's Ladder, which is this like 3-rung wooden ladder that's massive, and the objective is to get to the top, and there was a team of like 3 of us harnessed up, and everyone got put into teams and we just took turns climbing the ladder. Basically, long story short, I was really bad at this. Could not get up of the first rung, basically. Out of the 3 of us, there was this one girl who managed to get all the way to the top really fast, like she was amazing. The other girl, I think, got halfway pretty good. I was stuck at the bottom rung, and in trying to get to the second one, the rope that was like harnessing me must have like scuffed my hand or something, because I had this cut, this little graze, and it was bleeding a little bit, and this was enough to send me into full panic mode, and I was crying my eyes out on the bottom rung of this ladder. I just had such an overreaction, and I was so embarrassed that I couldn't get off the bottom rung, and I was so like melodramatic that I was now bleeding a tiny bit from this little graze that I just gave up and I couldn't do it. and that was the end of that activity. Not to mention, on the first day of this holiday, I was bawling my eyes out before we'd even like gone to bed that night because I was homesick. And I remember one of the PGL instructors, while everyone else was playing like fun games in the hall, she was just like, had her arm around me being like, it's okay, just for a few days. This is what being an only child does to you. You have dependency issues, and if you're without your parents on holiday, you're completely lost and you don't know how to function. In year 8, I want to say, I went on a school trip to Normandy, organised by like my French class. Even though I did not take French as a GCSE, I took German, and I had no intention of speaking any French on this trip or doing any of the activities that involved speaking French. I only wanted to go because my 2 best friends were going, and I just wanted to mess around and have a laugh and not do any work. That's embarrassing in itself. We got given like allowances that we could, you know, take money with us on the trip, as you do. Basically, I've been given maybe like £50, £40. On the first day when I was unpacking, I couldn't find the money anywhere, and I basically thought I'd left it. So I was so sad about it, and I couldn't buy anything on the trip, and my friend actually bought me a souvenir from the trip. Let me see if I can find it. It was this. It's this little like felted cat thing. And on the last day of the trip we went to like a shopping centre in France, like on the coach back, just to like drop us off for a bit. And like, yeah, couldn't buy anything, was really sad. When I got home, I told my mum how sad it was that, you know, oh, where was my money? I couldn't find it, you know? And then it was in my bag the entire time. My mother had just put it in a little zipped compartment so I wouldn't lose it, obviously. I had money that whole time, made my friend pay for the thing, was really like whingy, complaining about it when I had it the entire time. This one is quite gross. So I went on a Scouts holiday and I was maybe like 6, 7? I was a baby. It was in this park, kind of. I don't even know where in the UK this was. Probably not so far from London. The younger kids slept in tents. The older kids got to sleep in like the actual like Club Scouts hut. One night I was sleeping in the tent with maybe like 4 other girls. I needed to pee in the middle of the night, and I got up and I was at the back of the tent as well, so I like crept past over these other girls, and like peeking through the tent I saw that there was some kind of like party going on. Like the older kids were still up, maybe like chatting, the lights were on, there were still people in there, and the toilets were obviously in the Scouts block. So I was like, oh no, I can't go in there. I was too socially anxious to go to the toilet just because there was people awake there, and I was worried that they would, tell me that I couldn't go to the toilet? So I thought, okay, the only other thing I can do is piss right here in this tent. I went to the back of the tent and I rolled up my sleeping bag off of the floor and the mat that was on the floor, and I literally peed into the grass where I would be sleeping. Bear in mind there are other people in this tent that, like, someone must have woken up and saw me, like, I don't know, I don't want to think about it. And then I put my mat back down and the sleeping bag back down. Obviously the pee soaked through the grass, through my mat and through the sleeping bag. I had to sleep on a wet, piss-soaked pillow, and I did that willingly rather than just walk into a room where there was adults who were probably like 14, and I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to go interact with them, so instead I just pissed inside the tent where I would be sleeping. Let me set the scene for you guys. I want to say between the years of 2016 and 2017, my dad did this trip where we would like visit as many piers as possible around the UK. Most seaside towns and most piers have adjacent arcades where you could go and play these like retro arcade games or whatever, things that are like really old dusty arcades, and like do crane machines, things like that. The thing that particularly interested me was 2p machines. There's little machines where if you slot a little 2p coin in at the right time, it could push more 2p's towards the front and then 2p's would fall off. One thing that I realised about a few trips in to these like arcades is that sometimes the 2p's would just fall out randomly at any time, and if you went around checking, you could find 2p's for free without having to put anything in. There's bound to be some loose 2p's that just fall down just because of gravity, and they just slip down because this machine's constantly moving like in and out. Hadn't put any money into this machine that I was just walking past, and suddenly I hear ksh, and like literally 52p's just fell out of their own accord, because that's what happens if you leave it. They fall down. People go home and then all your 2p's fall down and you miss out. So I took full advantage of this. I told my dad about it and we all did this too. Bags and bags of 2p's, big plastic bags. Inevitably, it was all going to come to a rather like depressing, catastrophic, horrifically embarrassing event where we were at the seaside arcade and there was like a couple of rows of 2p machines. We weren't alone, there was another family there. As I was like checking out which 2p machines might have some cash in them, checking every little well, this family had probably just been on them, maybe like was like strolling away, thought they were leaving. Cool. I dive in to this one 2p machine, loads of 2p's there, great, start collecting them. The boy from the family, he's maybe like 6 years old, 4 years old even, and I'm like 17, and he just goes like, "Hey, those are mine." I was about to steal a child's money right in front of their eyes. I was just there like a little gremlin creeping around going, "Oh, my 2p's." After that horribly embarrassing moment, I just left straight away. I was like, "Sorry," and I walked out of the arcade, left the boy to collect his 2p's. I realised that I'd let greed cloud my vision and I didn't even see that he was playing on that machine, that he'd spent probably like the last 10 minutes putting 2p's into that machine, waiting for some to drop, and that he was still there. It was horrible, absolutely mortifying experience. A low moment for me, truly. Please tell me all your hilarious, embarrassing moments, or just your crusty British family holiday stories, because I absolutely love hearing about them. Bye bye, see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.